and welcome to Gym and Kitchen. I'm your host, Shona. Gym and Kitchen's focus is on creating a healthy lifestyle, and I am passionate about educating and coaching real people with busy lives on all things health and wellness related, including the habits and beliefs that govern our food and fitness choices, and that's what this show is all about. You can find Gym and Kitchen on the web, Facebook and Instagram at gymandkitchen.biz. Gym and Kitchen is produced bi-weekly and airs every second Thursday on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. Now listen, something that you need to know is that this is going to be the last episode until September, or at least the last new episode. I'll send some reruns out, but I am going to take a little bit of a break. I'm also going on a course that I'm going to be away for about a month for. So I'm going to take a break from producing new content, but I promise there will still be content coming, and if you happen to be a newsletter subscriber, you will still be getting a newsletter every couple of weeks from me. Thanks for watching. Let's get into this episode's topic, which is, hey, hiking season's coming up. What do you need to go hiking? Okay, it's hiking season, so I better take my hiking poles. I'm gonna need my backpack. It's got the whistle on it. Okay, good to go. Better take some toilet paper with me. Never know if there's gonna be any in those actual outhouses. My hiking shoes, definitely gonna want those. Better bring a hat with me. You know, it might be kind of wet. I better throw those gaiters in. I'm gonna take my Buffy with me. In case we're out later than we think, I'm gonna bring that headlamp with me. Can't forget the bear spray. Map and compass. GPS, got the All Trails app downloaded, good to go. Might be muddy, so I'll bring my crampons. Can't forget the water bottle. Some snacks in case I get hungry. Better bring those electrolytes. Bug spray, always that time of season. Hand sandy, because they always run out in the bathrooms. Definitely gonna bring my windbreaker. Better make sure I have my sunglasses. Garmin InReach, just in case we wind up someplace outside of cell service. Make sure I bring my good hiking socks with me. Oh yeah, and first aid kit. I gotta remember to get some blister bandages and put that emergency blanket in with everything else. Okay, I think I'm ready to go. Oh yeah, but I should bring some follow-up kit. So I got a bag to put the follow-up kit in, a little towel just in case I get too sweaty or get a little bit wet, bring a dry shirt just in case, comfy hoodie that's too heavy for hiking but that I really like, extra pair of socks, car sandals, and at least one extra water bottle. Now I'm ready. Okay, welcome to the casual version of Gym and Kitchen. Hey kitty cat, this is Tweeter. She's very curious about everything that's going on, and I want to take some time and just go over all those things that I just threw into a pile. She's really curious about my ring light right now, so if my lighting suddenly goes astray, it's because my cat has tried to crawl through. I've been a pretty avid, moderate level hiker for a number of years, and I've managed to acquire a lot of gear. I'm also that person that will probably take a little bit more than they need whenever I go hiking, but I'm always grateful to have it, especially if the heavens open up. And I'm actually going to start with the last things that I started out with, which is what I call follow-up kit. So that's the stuff that comes in the car with you to have in the car when you get back to the trailhead at the end of your hike. And there's a couple of really important things to throw in there, and it doesn't have to be much, but it's sort of your just-in-case stuff. So you always want to have an extra water bottle just in case you run out on the trail. I'm often out in the Kananaskis, Canmore, Banff area, and most of those trailheads do not have anything resembling running water. So I always want to make sure that I have an extra water bottle when I get back to the car, just in case the hike was a little harder than I expected, or I was just a little more dehydrated than I expected, just so I've got some extra water when I get back. Right? A hoodie of some form. This is much too thick a hoodie for me to wear while I'm hiking, but I might want it when I get back because you get very warm, of course, when you hike and you move around, but I get back to the car, depending on the time of year, I might get cold, so I'm going to want an extra layer to throw on when I get back there that I haven't had to pack up and down the trail. Okay, car sandals. I can't stress how important it is to have a pair of shoes to put on when you get back from your hike. You want to take your feet out of those hiking boots. If it's really warm outside, you probably want to take your socks off. It's going to feel great. You're like, sandals time! It's amazing. All right. A dry shirt. I'm a sweaty human being, and it's even worse when I hike, so it's really nice to have a dry shirt to change into when I get back to the car. Same with taking, like, this is just a little washcloth, but like a pack towel or a slightly larger hand towel, just anything to maybe dry off with. This is also a really good thing to have, just in case the heavens open up when you weren't expecting it and you suddenly find yourself in a rainstorm. It's really nice to have a towel just to quick dry yourself off with, so that you're not sitting freezing damp when you drive home. An extra pair of socks for all those other reasons, if your feet get too sweaty, or if you happen to find a stream or a body of water that you were not expecting and your feet get wet, you're going to want dry pair of socks to put on, and your feet are going to be so much happier when you do that. And then of course, cute bag to put it in. I don't really care if the bag is cute or not, but a bag to put all that stuff in so it's not just floating around in the back of your car. We're going to start out with the obvious, and that is an appropriate pair of footwear for the hike. Running shoes that are specifically meant for running are not really the most appropriate footwear for the hike. Neither are your flip-flops and neither are your Vans sneakers. Make sure you get something, it doesn't have to be super fancy. These are oboes and I really like them. I have a really awkwardly shaped foot. I've also had really good luck with Lola's and Solomon's in the past. You're just gonna have to go to a hiking store and try on a whole bunch and find the one that fits your foot the best. Even a cross trainer is probably the lowest level I would recommend, but if you have a shoe that is, quote, specifically meant for running, find something else, okay? Get a shoe that is actually meant to support your ankle and has some really good grip for going over potentially rough terrain. Okay, gaiters. I really like taking these with me depending on the weather. That's just meant to keep your ankles and the bottom of your legs warm. I usually use these more when it's shoulder season or if I do a winter hike because I don't want snow or mud to get into my shoes and into my feet and then make my feet cold and wet. But if you think that you might have to deal with some dampness or if it might rain, these are a really good thing to have. You don't necessarily have to get the ones that are full length. There are some that are made that are half length as well. But I really like these. I think they're a great thing to have in your hiking kit. Windbreaker. You definitely want a windbreaker or a puffy or something like that. It's going to depend on your weather for the day, but you're going to want something like that to take with you. If you're doing a hike that involves any kind of elevation, it's going to be colder at the top. Even if it's a hot summer day, you're probably going to want an extra layer at the top of wherever you get. So I usually just throw a windbreaker into my bag and that suffices for all sorts of different options. Okay, a map and compass if you know how to use each of these things. If you don't know how to use them and you want to know how to use them, a friend of mine has a company called Boreal Wilderness Training and he does courses on things like that, so I will put his link in the description. I don't work for him, I'm not paid to say that. He's just a good buddy who's had this company ever since I've known him, which is about 25 years. He's always got lots of really happy students and he teaches all about being outdoors in the wilderness. So if you want to learn how to read a map and a compass, then you should go to borealwilderness.net and find a course that works for you. Along that same vein, a GPS again. If you know how to use a regular GPS properly, they're a really, really good thing to have. Lots of smartwatches have a GPS built in, so if you have that kind of smartwatch, great, you can use that. I personally like my little handheld Garmin. Another thing that you can do is you can download a GPS app on your phone. All trails also at this point will allow offline maps and GPS access. Just make sure that you check before you venture into an area that does not have cell service and make sure that everything works when you're out of cell range. On that same note, I have a Garmin InReach. That's so that if I have an emergency while I am somewhere there is no cell service, I can get emergency aid quickly. That's something to look into, especially if you do any backcountry or you spend a lot of time on trails that aren't well populated. I would certainly recommend looking into one of these devices. Sunglasses, ever important. Don't forget your sunglasses. A water bottle. You're gonna get thirsty on the trail. Take a water bottle. This one's a little bit under 1 liter, but I would recommend at least 1 liter of water with you depending on the length of the trail and how warm it's going to be that day. Bug spray. Mine's in 2 Ziplocs so the smell does not permeate the rest of the stuff in my bag. But don't forget bug spray out on those trails. Crampons. I told you I'm that person that brings along everything that they don't need. These are more for shoulder season or for winter hiking. It's good to have a pair of crampons with you. If you're in summer and it's very dry, you probably aren't going to need these, but depending on what time of year you're actually doing your hiking, this is a great thing to have. Toilet paper. No, really. The stuff that Parks Canada uses is like 0.75 ply. If you don't want to be uncomfortable or you don't want it just to tear in your hands or you're not sure if they're actually going to have any because sometimes they run out, take your own. Hand sani for all the aforementioned reasons. Sometimes they don't have any in the pit toilets that are at trailheads and sometimes there aren't pit toilets and you're finding a bush, so you're going to want some hand sani for after that. Hiking socks. I'm a huge fan of smart wool socks, but you can choose the ones that work the best for you. Do yourself a favor, spend some money on a good pair of hiking socks. First aid kit. I've got an emergency blanket and just a couple of basics in here, like a triangular bandage, some gauze, a tensor bandage, and some gloves. I've got to throw a few other things in here, like some blister bandages and a tick removal tool because they are a problem out in the Kananaskis area. It doesn't have to be a big fancy heavy kit. That's really all you need unless you're going out into the backwoods for days on end, and at that point, again, highly recommend that you have something like an InReach just in case of emergency. Okay? If you don't know basic first aid, take a standard first aid course. Snacks! Okay, depending on how long you're going to be out there, you're going to get hungry. So take at least an apple and a power bar or something similar like that with you. Maybe take some trail mix. Depends on how long you're going to be. Sometimes I'll take a sandwich to eat at the top, or sometimes I'll just take stuff I can graze on. But make sure you've got food with you, and make sure you have food that involves sugar with you, even if you don't eat a ton of sugar. So some natural sugars like an apple, or some trail mix that's a really good blend of nuts and seeds and some dried fruit. Because if you find that you're suddenly very tired, then you're going to want a little bit of a sugar kick. Along that same line, electrolytes. Nunes are really great because they come in a little tab. You can just throw them into your water bottle. There's lots of different types. BioSteel and Element, LMNT, also both make very good electrolytes, and they come in individual packages, so you can carry those along with you. Just remember your garbage. Whatever you pack in, you pack out. Don't leave your garbage out in the woods. A hat. Always a good idea to have some sort of a ball hat or some sort of hat to cover your head, and maybe a buffy just to put around your neck, especially if it's cool to start off with. You can also use it as a headband, swap it out with your hat, lots of different options, but I would definitely recommend taking a buffy with you. Headlamp, okay, you probably don't need this unless you're going to be wandering into any kind of caves or anything like that. But I always like to throw one in just in case, because again, I'm that person that will take a little too much stuff with me, and hey, the headlamp's light, so I'm probably going to throw it in my bag. Okay, great pair of hiking poles. Okay, these are black diamond and I really like them. They aren't adjustable, but they collapse, which is really nice. There's lots of different types of hiking poles. I'm no expert on them. Just make sure you get ones that are the right length for you, because if you get something that's too tall or too short for you, it's actually going to compromise what you do. They're certainly not a necessity, but if you're doing a lot of ups and downs, they can certainly be helpful on the downs. They really help save your knees, not gonna lie. Or if you're over really rocky terrain, it's really nice to have these for a little bit of extra stability. Decent hiking pack. This one's pretty checked out. I really like it. It's got a little bit of lumbar support at the back. Depending on whether you're doing a short day hike or a long day hike, it's going to depend on what you're going to bring with you. Some people just bring a little slingback bag and that's got everything they need and they're perfectly happy with that. Again, reference this whole video, I'm that person that likes to overpack, so I like to bring this bag. It's got a little bit of extra stuff in it. It's got places that I can clip things on, like a whistle. So you want to make sure that you've got a whistle on there for emergency, okay? That's something that everybody should have. They're cheap and they're easy to get. Finally, bear spray. If you are venturing into bear country, take bear spray with you. If you don't know how to use it, learn. Don't take the expired stuff. It will be effective, but possibly not as much, so spend the money. Buy yourself some bear spray. For the love of all that is holy, don't fucking use bear bells. They are considered a novelty. Parks Canada and any other parks and forestry organization do not advise them as a means of keeping bears away from you. The best thing to do is to travel in groups and make lots of human noise, because that is what keeps the wildlife away from you. So take the stupid bear bells off your bag. Use your voice instead. Sing, talk, laugh. Make natural human sounds, and that is going to reduce your chances of coming across wildlife that you don't want to encounter. I hope you found that helpful. If you are not a hiker, I hope you become a hiker. If you are a hiker, you probably know more about this than I do, or you've got some other tips, and you might be just like, what the hell, Shona? But this is the stuff that I take with me when I go hiking, and hiking season's coming, and if you've never gone on a hike, it's a great thing to do. If you live in the Calgary area, my favorite start of the year hike is Grassy Lakes. It's a beautiful hike. It's short, it's easy, it's well populated. There's lots of parking since they've just redone the parking area. It's very doable. There's even a service road, so if you have somebody with limited mobility or any kind of fear of heights, or you need to take a stroller up, you can actually just go up the service road and you still get a really lovely view at the top, and then you can come down either by service road or the trail. Hope that was helpful for you. Happy hiking! Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share this episode with a friend. Plus, remember to connect with Gym and Kitchen on the web, Instagram, and Facebook at gymandkitchen.biz. A friendly reminder that I am taking the next few months off, and your next new episode will be in September. So with that in mind, I want you to have a fantastic summer. I want you to get out there and go hike. Please tag me if you have used the information from one of the videos that I've made and you found it really helpful. Take a picture of what you're doing or the meal you've made or something like that. I would love to see your progress over the summer, and I will see you in the next episode in September.